Cool. So I'm Peter. Peter Creer from Microsoft, and just as an indication, who has kids?
Does dogs count?
Dogs probably count. So confession time. My kids are 9 and 6, and the reason for that confession will become obvious now. So IoT obviously is a big strategic initiative for us at Microsoft, and when you go into something new, you obviously have to dig deep and find some wisdom on how you're going. So if you go and find wisdom, where do you go and find it? With Dr. Seuss, of course. So these things will not bite you. They want to have fun. Then out of the box came thing 2 and thing 1. So thing 1 is me, Peter Creer. I'm from the Software Development Integration Division of EOH Microsoft. Antoine was here to be competent, and unfortunately went to the Spur yesterday, so cause and effect. When you go to Spur on a Sunday, there's food poisoning on a Monday. So
I'm Warren, I'm standing in front.
So we've got Warren standing in for Antoine. So just as part of IoT and in the Microsoft space, where that fits in and where we see it. As a generic model of IoT is, what is your thing? All of these things that's out there, what is your thing? What's that thing that gets you excited in the morning? And if some of these things you're interested in that, then we can have a very good marriage between ourselves and yourselves. So if your thing is in the thing space, we're not there. So we would love to have discussions with you in that. Our things are at the end here. We do software. Our guys do software. We coders, we're software development integration specialists, and Warren's side is analytics. It's all about data and analytics. So in this model, there's things, and these things do very exciting stuff. It communicates somewhere through a local network, through a gateway. Depending on how much data it uses, you not necessarily don't want to use the internet. You might want to use low frequency, low data type of messaging through internet, go onto some gateway, the remote server, and then get into the hands of users. So as an indication, we partner with vendor on the things side. So as I say, if you do that, then there could be a very nice marriage between ourselves and yourselves. We partner with SquidNet on the network side, vendor as well. Vendor and SquidNet both do gateways, so we do that. SquidNet on the communication side. Microsoft Azure, obviously we're Microsoft, so we use Microsoft Azure on the cloud infrastructure. The SDI side does all the user interfaces, collecting the data, and the BI side is all about analytics and the data. So that's us, and as you say, we do not cover the full stack. That's why things like this is very exciting to us. Okay, so in the Microsoft Azure space, in this whole flow, you have things need to be connected. These things produce data. They send this data somewhere through local networks, through the cloud, very different ways, through the Azure IoT Hub. And that ensures event-based device to cloud integration, reliable cloud messaging. So obviously how these messages are controlled, are they secure, are they reliable, very important. That provides it for us, and then the security around that as well. And then data processing and analytics. If you don't do anything with this, then it's useless. If you don't provide information to somebody to make decisions about it, then it's useless. So that gets us very excited. So the case study we want to share with you today is a client of us, Impact Plastic Containers. So Impact Plastic Containers produce 240 liter weedy bins that all of you have at your houses. The problem is they produce these things, they provide it to municipalities, and then the municipalities deliver it to the residents. After that, the municipality has no clue what happens to these things after that. They have no idea how many bins you have at your house, which is a small problem. They have no idea how many bins EOH has at this site and how much to charge them for, which starts to become a bigger problem. Also, these things travel. It's weird, and if you look at the data, bins travel from your home to corporates, to factories, to industrial sites. It might feel that why are corporates stealing residents' bins? But they are. If you look at measuring these devices, that's what's happening. So that's part of what is interesting to them, is finding out where these things are going. Because the problem is, if you have 2 bins, you should be paying for 2 bins. But it becomes bigger than that. The constraint is really in the garbage heap. How much do we put in the heaps? And if you put a little bit in your bin, then you're less of a problem than the guys that fill their bins. So is the bin paid for? Is it full? All of these things could be interesting to them to change the way that they get their money. For Ekurhuleni, for instance, they lift 1.2 million bins every week. Only 700,000 of those are paid for. So there's a big revenue gap which can be filled if they have better information about these things. So the solution is not pretty. Waste is not pretty. Nothing has to be pretty. It's all about being effective. So Impact Plastic Containers started putting RFID tags in the bins to be able to track who has the bins, where are they, and where they go. Also, to track when they lifted. So if the garbage truck comes by, track that I've lifted this bin, I know whose it is, I know which account it is for, so I can charge them for it. If suddenly I'm lifting 3 bins at your house, then I can charge you for 3 bins instead of only charging you for 1. And if they travel, I can get them back. I know where they're going, or I can just start charging that corporate that's now stealing your bins additional money for the work that they're doing. But lifting is a whole different thing. So we partnered with somebody in Cape Town that manufactures the lifting equipment and put devices on them to track the lifts. So it measures, is it closed, is it open, how long is it up, how many lifts is it doing. And it can even go further to say, and while you're going past the house, get a reading from the electricity sensor, say, okay, what's the electricity usage? Instead of sending people out with little devices and on their feet to go and pick up the readings, just pick it up as we go by. We go by every week anyway. Interesting other use cases are in retirement villages. If the bins aren't being put out, actually the only person from the council that goes to residents every week is the garbage man. So if the bin doesn't get put out for a week, for 2 weeks, and it's an old age person, send somebody from the healthcare sector out, maybe there's a problem. So there's lots of use cases that can actually be answered through the garbage man. Very interesting. But it's not only about a device. It's also not only about the data. It's putting the whole thing together. So what we've done is, as I said, we partnered with Impact Plastics, and the end customer is obviously the municipalities. They manufactured the wheelie bins, they put the RFID tags in them. Then it's all about delivering them, recording that, and building up a database of these bins, who has them, how many they have, and making that data available to the municipalities. Very, very valuable for them, which they don't have currently. Well, Cape Town has it, and nobody else has it. Installing the lifting equipment on the trucks, there's a service around that as well. So it's not only about things, it's about things and do's, the products and the services. And that is what is so exciting about all of this. Installing the measuring equipment and putting it on devices. Now, part of installing is also servicing those things, because every week these trucks are washed, and the guy that washes it feels nothing for this little wire that runs from the back to the battery in the front. So they actually physically cut these wires because it interferes with their washing. So you have to send somebody out to go and repair these things on a weekly basis. As I said, the database, very valuable to them. The dashboarding and the reporting is crucial, and that is what's giving them interesting insights, like corporates are stealing the bins and not the townships, actually, which will be your instinct. The field support that we mentioned, and then service around software support, the hosting, the Azure hubs, all of that. So as the message is, it's not about one thing or another thing. It's about putting all of this together, and these discussions make it very exciting for us to be able to say, okay, who can help us with these other things as well that we're not part of?
Thanks, Peter.
Okay. Is it a live project? Is it POC?
So it runs in Cape Town, and we're trying to sell it to Ekurhuleni and to PE.
And what are the statistics? Can you share any? How many bins are connected?
So Cape Town is an interesting case because they actually have a very big social program. So it's for them, it's more about understanding what's happening and not so much about the revenue, because a very big portion of their citizenship is on welfare, and they actually get subsidized. So it's not about that getting the numbers and getting more money, because there's actually very few physical payers in that. But yeah, we can always get access to the databases and get that. I don't have that with me now.
The numbers, I can't remember, but the numbers, because this project's been going for about a year.
Yeah.
The numbers for Ekurhuleni in terms of numbers of bins they've issued versus revenue collection against those bins issued is like 20%. It's tiny. So if they just collected 100% of revenue from bins issued, their income would be vastly increased. It's massive, which is why it's probably a compelling financial solution for them.
Also part of they pay, it's the waste is collected by subcontractors, so they pay them by lifts and by number of trips to the heap, but there's no information to actually check them and say, okay, how many did you lift, how many trips did you take, is that efficient, can we help you plan this better, so that we can do better on this and actually save some costs on that as well. So the information is very powerful to them.
From the photo that you showed of I think the sensor, it looks quite large. Is that all the prototype, or is that the?
It is what it's looked like, and as I said, in this industry, it doesn't have to be pretty. Actually, it needs to be rugged because it's in this harsh conditions at the back of the truck, where garbage gets filled in and it gets washed. So the more rugged it is, the less pretty it is, the better.
Peter, are you guys selling the whole service, or just?
So we're selling a part of it to Impact, and they're selling it to the municipalities.
Because if they're battling, we can finance it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Complete solutions.
We probably can. We probably can. I think it's worth having those discussions.